What is going on, everybody? Phoenix Gaming here. Thank you for stopping by, and today we are going to be showcasing a Pyromancer firepower build that I've used to run through the whole storyline of Outriders and getting up to CT15, and you can be able to run CT15's gold with this build, which only uses one legendary mod. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into what we have got going on. So we're going to start off with the class node. Now the class node is pretty original. You know, you start with the top tree is going to be your primary, and then you're going to drop down into the bottom tree. So with the top tree, you're going to use your weapon damage by 8%, and then recommended that you go with the cooldowns, because the cooldowns are going to help getting back the skills, and we'll go over the skills here just a moment after the tree. And so continuing on, we got the mark of the anomaly. You're going to want that for the weapon damage by 10% against marked enemies, and then go ahead and jump into the assault master node at the top, giving you that assault weapon damage by 20%, and then of course your drop chance by 20% for all of the ARs, LMGs, SMGs, and the double guns as well. Now with this one, instead of using Trial of Ashes because you're already outputting enough damage, I went ahead and spec'd into armor piercing. Now when you're using the volcanic rounds, that negates the armor, but having the armor piercing, especially when you're on cooldown for volcanic rounds, this will come in handy because it will still give you that armor piercing by 10%. Going to the mark of the anomaly, increase your weapon damage, dropping down into incinerate the moment burn ends on an enemy, inflict ash status. So this will help, especially giving you that few seconds of pause where the enemy is allowing you to aim down sights and then eliminate all the NPCs around you. Giving it that brief pause is a make or break. Going into the bottom tree, we got the magma golem, increase your max health by 10%, gifted, increase weapon damage and anomaly power by 5%, magma golem again for 10% health, and then dropping down to all guns blazing, increase weapon damage after any skill activation by 20% for 7 seconds. So if you time it just perfectly, you could do your volcanic rounds first, and then do your next skill, wait 7 seconds to do your next skill after that, and that will constantly keep giving you that 20% weapon damage. Continuing on, instead of going with the Curse of Pompeii, Ash Afflicted on enemies lasts 15% longer. There's really not much of a difference when you are using the Ash. For this one specifically, I went ahead and did Conflagration, increase your resistance piercing by 15%, so you're doing a little bit of damage mitigation there. Doing Mark of the Anomaly, weapon damage by 10%. For no weapon, weapon damage by 8%. Mark of the Anomaly again, damage by 10% against marked enemies. Dropping down into Ashes to Ashes. You're going to want this definitely every time Ash is afflicted on an enemy. Vulnerable status is inflicted as well. And then pairing it with the Incinerate, burn ends on an enemy, inflict Ash status. Again, we've got Nimble as a Flame, decrease reload time by 20%. This is especially helpful when you're on cooldown with the volcanic rounds, because you're going to want to get your magazine back as quickly as possible. Hurt twice as long, increase damage against elites by 10%. Elites deal 10% less damage to you. And then we got the cooldown again for Immobilize. And then we've got the Burning Situation, activating Immobilize skills, increases your weapon damage by 45% for 10 seconds. For the skills, we are running again the volcanic rounds. We're on a 21-second cooldown, so if you do this just right, you can have this for the whole duration of your run-throughs, whether it's T14 or whether it's T15. It does suck that the volcanic rounds or that the Pyromancer doesn't have a specific mod to constantly keep giving you back that ammo. So we're going to get into what we're going to use to negate this in a way, but at the same time, it would definitely be beneficial if they added another mod specifically for volcanic rounds. Next, we've got Ash Blast. Create an anomaly blast to inflict ash onto all enemies within a large radius around you, giving you that specific time frame in order to also consume the ash, and we'll go into that here when we get into the inventory. And then we've got Overheat, Explosive Interrupt. Deal 1,705 damage to all enemies with a large radius. Interrupt their skills. Enemies afflicted with burn receive 21,920 damage. Instead, the burn will be consumed. Now going into the inventory, we'll start off with the weapon. So this weapon dropped at a 94.8k firepower. We've got Armor Pierce for 30%, close range damage for 10%, status power for 30%, and then the two mods that we are running are the Dark Sacrifice. And if you haven't seen my latest video regarding Dark Sacrifice or Killing Spree, go ahead and check that out. There's going to be a card in the top right hand corner, so go ahead and click on that. That way you can learn to see which one is actually superior than the other. And then for the tier 2 mod, this is Perpetuum Mobile. So instantly replenish your magazine if you kill an enemy with 35% or less ammo remaining in your magazine. The problem with this is that you need at least 6 rounds left in your magazine in order for it to replenish. So it's definitely a make or break situation. Again, unlike the other skill trees like Trickster or Technomancer, we got the short end of the stick for Pyromancer because there is no mod specifically allowing you to replenish your magazine. So hopefully in time they will add a mod that will allow that for the Pyromancer, because it certainly would be beneficial. For your secondary, you can run anything you like. I have Inferno Seed on because I was doing some testing with it, but we'll get into another video later on. And then we've got a level 50 pistol as well. Again, unless you're using pistols, there's no reason to have it. Just make sure it's level 50. Now for the gear, everything on the gear list, your helmet, torso, pants, gloves, and boots are nothing but tier 1 and tier 2 mods. This is especially helpful for people that don't have the legendary gear yet, because you can take the gear that you have in the very beginning and then just keep running through the story and the expeditions. And as long as you follow the blueprint and using these specific mods to, as of now, mitigate damage, because the damage issue right now within the game is, very spontaneous. As long as you have this, you will be able to survive the different challenge tiers. So starting with the Behemoth Mask, we've got the rolls of bonus firepower, status power, and close range damage. Now we have status power on here because this will help elongate like Ash or Burn, allowing it to last just a couple seconds longer rather than going from something like long range damage. And because you're so close to the enemies, close range damage is what you're going to want to have, especially when you are running with attack AR. That way you're maximizing the amount of DPS you can give when you are running your CTs. So on the mask, we have got Blazing Aegis. Killing enemies afflicted with burn increases your armor by 27,119 for 8 seconds, stacks up to 3 times. I ran Blazing Aegis and I ran Armor Mitigation. I found that Blazing Aegis was more beneficial because you are constantly giving the burn to the NPCs, especially because of the radius of volcanic rounds, allowing you to kind of spread that burn. Then they will just constantly keep stacking. Next, we've got Protection of the Flames. Killing enemies marked by Pyromancer with a weapon increase. With a weapon increases your armor by 22,616 and resistance by 10% for 15 seconds. Stacks up to 3 times, so you could have a 30% resistance. This is definitely a mod that you're going to want to have. Again, it's tier 2, so you should be able to acquire it within doing the story or doing your world tiers even before you touch challenging. Definitely something beneficial to have. It doesn't matter if you're the one marking the enemies, you're going to be able to benefit from the armor stacks and the resistance stacks. Next, we've got the Outriders breastplate. Again, bonus firepower, cooldown reduction, and then healing received. We've got the radiation flames, volcanic rounds. Enemies damaged with the skills are afflicted with weakness. This is very beneficial because of the DPS that they output, and because tier 14, tier 15 enemies are so tanky, but they can also inflict a lot of damage, and especially with the armor mitigation, having that weakness will drop them down to, I think, about 15% damage mitigation. Ash increases the skill range by 66%. You're going to want this, that way you inflict Ash pretty much in the surrounding area that you're in. Next, we've got Inquisitor's Trousers, bonus firepower, close range damage, and the cooldown reduction, all maxed out. We got Cinders, the skill consumes Ash instead of Burn. And then we've got a tier 2 Bloodlust. Killing shots increase your firepower by 17,505. Stacks up to 3 times and deteriorates every 10 seconds. Next, for the gloves, we got bonus firepower, cooldown reduction, close range damage, damage absorber, increase your armor by 52,659 and resistance by 10%. So when you already have the resistance on there by 10% and having the protection of flames, you're going to have that resistance of 40%. And so because of the, again, for the damage issue or the mitigation of armor that we're currently having in the game, this is definitely going to help you protect yourself and allow you to complete your CTs without having the frustration of the enemies constantly one hit you or just completely annihilate you during your run. Next, we also have Bullet Kindling, deal 20% more damage against enemies afflicted by burn. Comes in beneficial because you are running the volcanic rounds as well. And then lastly, for the boots, we have the Huntmaster boots, bonus firepower, cooldown reduction, close range damage, extra mag for volcanic rounds to add an additional magazine before triggering the cooldown, and then we have Dum Dum Bullets, increase assault weapon damage by 10%. So now this is the build I ran this build completely from story to finish. It took a lot of tweaking, it took a lot of trying to figure out what was going to benefit, and this build helps. You saw from the gameplay footage before in the first half of Stargaze mission, CT-15 running it, annihilating everyone with the cooldown, the volcanic rounds, the ash blast, everything was just, it was synergized very well. So I highly recommend that if you are looking for a Pyromancer build, but you don't have a lot of tier 3 mods, or you don't have any tier 3 mods already, that you can run and put this onto your armor pieces, allowing you to mitigate damage, allowing you to deal damage. But again, because Dark Sacrifice is a tier 3 mod, it does come onto the Fatal Symbiont SMG. You are going to have to find something else in order to benefit from the damage output. What that is going to be entirely up to you, because it's very situational. Dark Sacrifice, though, is the top tier superior mod. Again, watch my video, that way you fully understand why it is the way it is, instead of Killing Spree. But other than that, guys, that is it. I really hope you enjoyed the video, found it informative, and if you did, please go ahead and give a like and a rating to the video. If you are new to the channel, definitely hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any Outriders or Division content when it does come into play. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video, and likes appreciated, subs respected. I'll catch you around next time. Take care.
Tahiti, I found a pod down here.